as you pivot from one thing to the other, do not lose yourself. Do not lose who you are.
So I'm going to say good afternoon because it is that time, isn't it? And welcome to the Long Story Short podcast. Do you know what I mean? I am so excited to have you on here because number one, I haven't seen you for a long time. Do you know
Right?
what I mean? I have not seen you for a long time, and we have an opportunity to spend a little time together. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
For the sake of the watchers and the listeners, I know who you are. And if I was to describe you, do you know what I mean? It would take long time. Do you know what I mean? And that wouldn't be appropriate for long story short time. So for the sake of our watchers and listeners, could you introduce yourself, please? And thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Marsha Munoz Munodawafa, affectionately known as Marsha Munoz. I'm actually an ordained minister, as well as a business applications manager for a very well-renowned newspaper.
Excellent. I like that, how you introduce yourself. Firstly, I'm an ordained minister.
Right.
Love it. You know what I mean? When we was having a discussion about what's going to be the angle for this particular episode, you said, so remember I done this degree and now I'm in this type of industry. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, let's talk about pivoting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How you pivoted from one place into another, and talk about, that journey and how it has been for you. But firstly, I want to start to go way back in time type of thing, and about childhood and upbringing. What was your first job?
This is actually quite an interesting one because I'm not sure if you know this. So I left school at 16, and as a family we moved from we were living in Chadwell Heath, and then we moved from Chadwell Heath to Hornchurch, right? So I'd left all of my school friends that I had made during the years there, and moved to a completely new area. And then I went to a graphics academy. So I worked I studied at a graphics academy for about, not long, for about 6 months. And what they would do is they were actually preparing you for the workplace. So I remember doing a very short course in this graphics academy, and there were certain tasks that you had to complete. For some reason, I managed to complete the tasks correctly. And then you would have employers that would come to the graphics academy and they would want to select people that they wanted for interview. So I actually got selected for interview, and I ended up working at a media company. I worked at a media company in York Way. I worked there for about a year. That was very interesting because it was a media company that advertised within video games. So some of the roles that were in that company were actually like testing the video games once the advertising had gone in. But my role was quite sort of like admin based, but obviously I had exposure to the wider business. So that was my very first job, which lasted about a year. And then after that, I'd made a decision that I felt like I came out of education too soon, and I wanted to go back in because I didn't have any friends, I didn't have any peers like my age. Everybody was older than me. I was in the workforce, and I thought, no, I need to go back and study, and I could sort of like make some friends and go back to education, which is what I did. And then when I went back to education, that's when I went into to study fashion.
Okay, so that made you pull back because you
Yeah,
you wanted to build up your circle of friendship because you thought that was
absolutely.
for you. Okay.
Absolutely, because you're talking about family, and you're talking about how we were raised and we brought up. My parents were always entertaining. We always had people coming to the house. There were always barbecues. They were always networking, going here, there, and everywhere. They were doing things together, and I felt like I was losing that pattern of togetherness, if you understand what I mean, and having a circle outside of my family, because I always had a great circle of friends, my parents. And I felt that that was something that was instilled in me, and the direction I was going in was leading me away from that.
That's so interesting. I love that how you're reflecting about the self-awareness bit, about the
Hmm.
importance of having a circle of friends,
Yeah.
importance of networking in order to make sure that you have, you know what I mean, a more, what can I say, enjoyable life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I did not have any, and like I said, I left school and that was it. I left all my friends behind.
Mhm.
That was it. I started afresh. And I thought, this is not what I want. I want to start afresh, but not on my own. Like, I want to have some girlfriends. I want to have some boyfriends. I want to have people that are my age, that are like me, that have got my mind, and you know what I mean, and my thought process and stuff like that. And I didn't have it. So yeah, it was really weighing strong on me. And I didn't ask anyone their thoughts about my decision. I just made my decision. I was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Because it's that self-awareness bit, isn't
Yeah.
it? You know when this is what is the right thing for you to do, so you pursue that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
talk through so you've made that decision to say, do you know what, I need to go and sort out, well, search out some sister friends and some guy friends, and get my social life under wrap type of thing. So talk us through that journey.
To my parents, oh, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to study fashion, and I just remember them just looking at me and not even having a response at that time. But I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to study fashion. And my dad was like, well, what are you going to do with that? Because I have absolutely no idea, but that's what I feel like I need to do. I need to go and study fashion design. At the time is what I studied at college. That's what I ended up applying for. And it was a BTEC national diploma in fashion design.
What's so funny, isn't it, that your parents said, what are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
Like,
know.
how's that going to help you? How's that going to,
Exactly.
pay this, pay for this,
Exactly that.
halfway? Have you really thought about it, type of thing?
Exactly.
That's good. So you decide to do a BTEC. So what was
Yeah.
college like for you? Because I remember college life for me, I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah.
So what was the experience for you?
Yeah. It was great. I really enjoyed college. It was a complete different experience for me from school because when I was growing up and I was going to school, I went to school in a very, like, my area was like at the time like a white area. So there were not a lot of black families and stuff around where I was living at the time. So when I went to school, started in high school, this was the only other black people at the time in the high school were like my brothers. So when they left, it was just like me and maybe a couple coming up behind me, a couple of years down. So all of my friends are white. I didn't have an experience at school of having a black friend or a friend from like African or Caribbean origin. I didn't have any of that. Um, I enjoyed school, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, made some great friends there. But then when I'd left, like I mentioned, I'd left and I've gone to work, that's when I was realizing, well, hang on a second, I don't have any friends that look like me, or do you know what I mean, that I could connect with on that African Caribbean level. It just wasn't there. And so going to those open days, that college was really evenly mixed. And I thought, this is it. This is what I want. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Did my BTEC there and I absolutely enjoyed it. And to this day, the friends that I made at college, I'm still friends with now.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome to hear. I just love it because, when you said that when you was at the open day and you saw there was an even mix,
Yes.
knew that this was the right place for you.
Yes.
Ah, that just warms my heart. Coming from living in an area which was all white, you were the minority, and then having that deep desire to study or to create friendship groups of people that look like you, type of thing.
Yeah.
Important.
That was a goal as well, not just, oh, what do I want to do with regards to my career path, but also I felt like at a young age I was thinking about my mental health. I was thinking about my future and my support system and all those other things. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but I was. And to this day, I can tell you that I have got such a rich group of friends. Like it's phenomenal to me. My friendship groups and the people that I know, it blows my mind. it blows my mind, and the period of time, the length of time that I've kept friendships for is mind blowing. So I'm really, really pleased that at such a young age I made that decision, because if I didn't make that decision then, I think my life would be completely different now.
It's so true. And you know what? Because you're saying that, you know, your friendship circle is so rich and so
Yeah.
vibrant, but also I want to big you up because it's also a reflection of how you are. Marsha. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We're not going to go into that, but you hear me and you receive that. All right.
Yeah.
So when you said you've done a 𝗘𝗘𝗜𝗦𝗢 in fashion design, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I can see it. Look at that blue and yellow. I wouldn't even think of putting blue and yellow together. You know, I put blue and silver because but blue and then another color. I'm like, now go on Google and, you know, research which colors go together.
I finished the BTEC and I actually got a distinction when I left. And I think that's what spurred me on and made me think, do you know what? Let me continue with this, you know, because what was happening is some of the clothes, because it was fashion design, we had to make like a collection at the end of each year. And well, it was like a final year collection. So I made this collection and then we had a fashion show, and it was down at a hotel and it was a wonderful evening. And the tutors at the time, they were saying, Marsha, you know, you've got something here, you know, you should pursue it and go on to do this at a degree level. So I said, okay. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, it's something that I'd like to do. But then I wanted to do fashion design again at degree level. But what had happened was that particular class got filled quite quickly. So by the time I'd made my application, the class that was available was fashion design and technology. So that's the class that I ended up going into, the fashion design technology class. But over the 3 years that I was at university, the two classes would sometimes merge together, mix together, and we'd do some projects together, etc. But then I really enjoyed the technology side of it because there was a particular system that was being introduced into the fashion industry that would help to cut garments, resize garments, that kind of stuff. And it was like a whole sort of new technology that had come to the market. And that was at the time when we were doing the course. So that kind of sort of whet my appetite a little bit as well on the technology side, I would say. We had an essay we had to turn in for our very first one. And I wrote it on a typewriter because my mum had an old typewriter at the house. And I just felt in myself, you know what, I'm not going to use a computer. I want this to be nice, accurate, neat, and I want it to be unique. And I did it on a typewriter. When I turned it in, I remember the lecturer saying to me, Marsha, I have never received an essay that someone has typed on a type. You are the first person that has turned in an essay on a typewriter. And he goes, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. He was so impressed that I'd use a typewriter. He's like, how did you find the patience to use this thing? I said, I know. I said, I did a couple, you know, trial pages and stuff. And I said, I really enjoyed the feel of the typewriter and, you know, I mean, like the authenticity and of the typewriter. It was so retro and unique. And I loved it. Went out and bought the ribbon and everything. Yeah, loved it.
Because even for that, I would give you an A star.
Yeah, I think it helped my grade, to be fair.
Going out of your way. But again, it goes back to you having that desire to be a creator, isn't it? Trying different things and seeing what works and what works best. What's interesting is that when I was at college, I've always wanted to do business, some form of business though.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean. Like when you find something that you're passionate about, you just want to just go all out.
Yeah. So I finished college, went on to university. I did well at uni, but I knew I didn't want to study again. I felt like I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
No more studying.
No,
I know what you mean. You know when you've had enough. I've had enough of academia, referencing, and all of that. I did a break.
That's right. Yeah. So after I'd took the position of an allocator, yeah? And that was basically allocating stock to all of the high street stores. And that was my first job in the industry. But funnily enough, I stayed there for 1 year, right? That 1 year, Sophia Lewis, let me tell you, that 1 year undid everything that I had gained to that point with regards to fashion. Because it was at that point that I realized I don't want to be in the fashion industry anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. When I saw how the buyers were carrying on, and I said, no, this is not for me. I can't. I'm too delicate for this. Like I can't. No.
Let me look
like nah.
Yeah.
No, I can't. This.
So what is it that you saw? What is it that you witnessed?
Just how people treated one another. It just wasn't very kind. And I'm very sensitive to my environment. So I always make sure that my environments are a certain way. And I just thought, I can't, this environment is not for me. Again, I was obviously still quite young, so I would have been early 20s there, but I just knew that I can't do this. I can't do this. But then what happened, the trajectory changed while I was in my first year post-uni. And I tell you what happened. In order for us to allocate the stock, we needed an allocating system. We had got a new allocating system in the business. We purchased the allocation system, but we did not purchase the training that went with it. So when the system came in, the people didn't know how to use it. So I spent my time, worked out how to use the system proficiently, how that we could get the stock out into the stores. And then what I started to do was, during my lunch times, I started to say to people, look, I can show you how to use the allocation system. That's what I started to do. So I'd use my lunch times and people would come into this room and I would show them, this is how you do it, this is how you allocate the stock. So when I started to do that, I thought, oh, I quite like this. Yeah, then I left there, and that's when I went on to my next job. Was got a job as an IT trainer.
Hold on for a minute. The jump is massive. Do you know what I mean?
Huge.
It's massive. I mean, fashion.
Yes.
For 1 year, would you say?
Yes.
Just for 1 year.
Yes.
And then on the back end of that, you started to train people how to use the allocating type software for retail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got a job working in the IT industry.
Yes.
Wow. How?
For a huge healthcare organization. Might I add. A huge healthcare organization that were literally starting a migration program. It was a migration project, and yeah, I got in, and I went in there and I said, whatever you need me to train, I can pick up systems quickly. I'm telling you, I can pick up systems, I can write the training manuals, I can do it all. And then told them what had happened at my previous role. Had the interview, but I didn't even get back out into the car park. As I was pushing the door to come outside, my phone was ringing. They're asking me to take the role.
I think that is amazing. I think as well, you are really showing the importance of identifying your transferable skills from one role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, coming from, fashion.
Yes.
Fashion, tech, IT, a little bit IT training. What happened?
Yeah. So after that, it was quite funny because, like I mentioned, it was a 1 year fixed term contract. And my manager kept saying to me, Marsha, your contract's coming to an end. What are you doing? And I said, I think I definitely want to stay, with being a trainer, stay in training. And she said to me, right, I'm going to look out for some jobs for you. And so everyone in the office now started like coming in every day with like newspapers and all manner of things. I'm Marsh, look at this, look at that. What do you think? I'm like, well, not quite. And I just remember my manager came in one day and she put a newspaper down in front of me, and she had circled this job, and she said, Marsha, this is it. This is it. And she circled it, and it was a job for a national newspaper, and they were looking for an IT trainer, and it was a full-time permanent role. Wow. And she said, Marsha, I've just got a feeling that if you apply for this job, you're going to get it. And that's what I did. Applied for the job. She helped me with the application.
Applied for the job. With the application.
Yeah, she helped me. Yeah, she read. She said, make sure you send it to me so I can read through it. She helped me with the application. She added bits into like what I was doing because she felt like I wasn't selling myself enough. She added bits into it, and yeah, lo and behold, I got the job. That was back in 2005. That was May 12th of May 2005. Actually, I started that job. I remember that date. Yeah, I started there, and yeah, started as an IT trainer for the newspaper.
And now you are
business applications manager. Yay. So basically, I started out as an IT trainer. Then I went on. Then I left. My position became redundant. I left there. Did contracting for a media organisation for a few years. Then that same the original organisation called me back because I had knowledge of all the legacy systems that they were using. Because there was like a big exodus of people that left, and then the knowledge left with them. So they called me back, and I went back on a contract and did that for a couple of years. And then there was a position that came up, and some people always say, well, why would you go from contracting to permanent? But for me, I'm not going to do what everybody else does because everyone else does it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in that moment and at that time. And that's what I needed to do, was to get this permanent role. So I've got a permanent role as an application analyst. From there, moved on in the same organisation as a senior analyst for commercial systems. And then from there, got on to be the business applications manager.
Yay! So my thing is, I'm listening to you about all these different job roles, but they've led you to where you are now. So how have you built and maintained your confidence throughout this journey?
Well, funnily enough, my confidence was shot a little bit, actually, because I did have some health issues that came up. And because of how those health issues affected my body, they affected different areas of my body. Do you understand what I mean? And so that kind of gave me a confidence dive at the time, just literally because I was always tired, always exhausted. My body was constantly in pain. I just didn't have the energy to do anything. And I had like a little hiatus of about 2 years where I didn't work. And during that time, I was just literally trying to get better, trying to get well, which I did. And then I was able to go back and start working again. But it was a good couple of years for my confidence to build back up again, simply because when I started contracting after being unwell, I would do one day, I'd come home and I would be shattered, absolutely exhausted. And then, you start to talk to yourself and think, well, can I do this? Is this for me? Is this type of role for me? Because it's taking it out of me. I'm just so tired, So I had to really fight against that and tell myself, no, actually, yes, you can do this. You've been sick for nearly 2 years. You're just getting back to yourself. So just keep going, keep pushing. Don't put too much in your day. Don't do too much in your evening. Just at this moment, your life is going to be work and rest. And I had to tell myself that it's just work and rest. I can't be going here, there, and everywhere as much as the invitations are coming in. It had to be work and rest. And I did that. And then my energy started to come back. And when my energy came back, that's when my confidence started to come back. And then when I went through a few of the roles in the organisation, what really began to give me the confidence is when I looked back and I thought, actually, you know quite a lot here. You've got quite a lot of information. I'm noticing that people are coming to you, asking you questions about things that they just don't know because they know that you've got the answers. So that really helped to build my confidence. another thing that helped to build my confidence is that I had really, really good managers. And I would just say to any manager, you know, if you are managing people, how you are towards them can have such a huge impact on their confidence. And so it's important that we treat people well, because you can make or break somebody as a manager. And I'm so fortunate that I've had managers that have really poured into me and encouraged me. And it's funny because every single manager, bar one, that I've had, they've said, Marsha, you would make a really good manager. They've always told, my manager has always told me that they think that I would make a good manager. I used to think, really? Because management has never been on the cards to me. The thought of management I used to feel physically sick. Me as a manager? Are you kidding? Never. Listen, this role used to come up at work, and I could just look at it the side of my eye, but you think I'm applying? I've never applied for that role.
You're too funny. I'm sitting here and I'm just absolutely laughing because you know what? It's like we never ever see what we have. Is it? Is that part of that 𝗘𝗛𝗜𝗦 window, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes.
That hidden part that other people see, but you don't see for yourself.
You don't see it. You don't see it.
I could have told you that for morning. Could have told you that.
I'd never see myself because never seen it, 𝗧𝗛𝗜𝗦. Because you know what I would see? I would see myself more in project management, where I'm managing a project, or the roles that I had they were very system heavy, and I loved it because it was all systems, you know, building a system, manipulating a system, testing a system. Great, because I would just be there with my headphones on and just go in, headphones on, doing my work. And then people on my team would come over and be like waving at me like, oh, Marsha, you okay? Like, you've had your headphones on all day. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm all right. Coming in the morning. Yeah, because I need to concentrate on what I'm doing, you know, and I'm not really a sort of chatty person at work. I would just have my headphones on and just get the job done. And then I did think, well, if I went into management, then that can't really work.
It's like, Marsh, do you know what I mean? It is, do you know what?
That can't work.
It can't work, can it? And also with regards to your personality, was you thinking that, because you say that you would typically be an introverted, you got introverted type personality. So did you feel that based on that, you wouldn't be interested in a management type role?
Well, I tell you where I feel, because I had to sit and think about this and think, why did I not want to be a manager? I had to really think about it. And what it is, I'm like such a gatekeeper of my energy. And I think having been unwell and knowing what it's like to be physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, knowing what that feels like, I've never, ever wanted to go there again, ever. Even though this wasn't something like burnout, this was an autoimmune disease that just came up on me. And I've never wanted to experience the way that my body felt, you know, ever again. And so I became like a deeper gatekeeper of my energy and my time as well. And so I'd always think ahead. I'm not quite, I would think a lot about the ripple effect of a decision. So then I would be, okay, so if I take a management role, it's not just me managing these systems, which I know about and understand, but I've also got to have that pastoral role for the people, because they've got their personal lives, they've got their own issues, then they've got their issues that they might find at work. I need to be there and I need to give them 100%, and I don't want to give them any less than that, Also, I mentioned to you that at the start that I'm an ordained minister, so I'm also doing that outside of work, right? So I'm doing it both ends. A pastoral role is like both ends. And so then I really started to think, have I got the energy to give what is required to the people that need it? And that is what was stopping me. I don't feel that I've got the energy to give to these people as much as I would like it. And that's what started to put me off, thinking, because I don't want to go in half-hearted or go in and not serve well. Do you understand what I mean? Because even as a manager, I'm seeing myself as I'm serving my team, you know, and that's what I would be doing as a manager, serving my team, not me turning up and my team serving me. but I'm seeing it as I'm serving my team. I want to get the best out of each individual of my team. I want my team to be able to trust me, to be able to talk to me, to be able to be their confidant at work. Do you understand what I mean? So that takes a lot, and I wanted to do it well. And so that's why I felt, because of my past health challenges, I didn't know whether or not I would be able to manage it. Yeah, that I think that's where my thought process was coming from. But it wasn't because I've managed before and didn't manage well, or managed before and failed. And that's where I started to think, why am I making my thoughts stop me from pushing forward to something that I haven't even done? I haven't done it yet. So why am I trying to shut myself down from pursuing something that I haven't yet pursued? And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So when the role came up, I said, I'm going to apply for this role. Number one, I'm applying for it because I know I can do it. Because I read the job description, I was like, that's got my name on it. And number two, I applied for the job because I wanted to just push myself a little bit further and accomplish something more than what I was doing at the time.
Decided to, would you say, come out of your comfort zone?
Absolutely.
Even also thinking about, I've got these particular health issues, but I'm going to come out of my comfort zone. Why
Absolutely.
did you decide to push yourself out of your comfort zone?
Because I thought, if I don't do it, then I'm never going to do it. I literally could never do anything. Because I would be thinking, allowing my thoughts. It's almost like a fear, isn't it? So it's almost like fear is something that hasn't happened yet, but you're scared of what could happen. And we're talking about a what could happen, not what is going to happen. We're talking about a could, because we don't know. So what I didn't want is to start to be trapped by a could have. I was like, no, I'm going to apply for the role. I know I can do this. I know I can do it well. I'm going to apply for it, and I'm going to do it. Whatever comes up along the way, I'm going to deal with it. It's just as simple as that. I was like, why am I restricting myself from this opportunity? This makes absolutely no sense. And I knew as well, another thing, I said, you know what, if I make this move is just going to be so good for me, because I'm going to be learning a lot more than where I am, where I was at the time. So yeah, to me, it just made perfect sense to come out of my comfort zone, because your comfort zone is always based on your own knowledge and your own understanding. And I don't know everything. So I can't use my comfort zone as a challenge. To stay there is not going to challenge me, because I'm only going to be challenging what I already know and what I already understand. But coming outside of it opens you up to things that you didn't know and things that you didn't understand. And then it just gives you, it just increases you. So I was like, yeah, this stage of my life, I want increase, not decrease.
In what you know now, what would you have told yourself 12 months ago?
Stay prepared. I would have told myself to constantly stay prepared. When opportunities knock, just be prepared. Something that you've always taught me, 𝗧𝗛𝗜𝗦, is always make sure that you're prepared with knowing what your abilities are. Be prepared with knowing the things that you have executed and executed well. Document those things. Make a note of those things. You've always been someone that's told me that your CV should always be up to date, not updating it when you see something, but it should always be updated, because if you think about it, it's almost like how I'm seeing it, and what's coming to me now is like your CV is like a biography of your work life, isn't it? And it's you're consistently writing a story. Every day you show up, whether it's in your business, if it's in a career, whatever it is, every day you show up, you're writing another page of your biography, your career biography or your work biography. And people that know that they want to write a biography, they make notes. And so that's one thing that I would definitely tell myself, is write your biography. take notes of the things that you're good at, the things that you've done well, the things that you've been celebrated for in the workforce, in the workplace, in your own business, even as an entrepreneur, the ideas you've come up with. Note those things down and stay prepared, because you just don't know what opportunity could turn up next time you step out your door.
I just love that. And it makes me so proud that you've been listening.
I've been listening, babe.
And it quotes Sophia Lewis said this, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
plenty
true.
of times.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
true. So what's next for you then, in terms of your aspirations and goals for the future?
Well, I think for me, I feel like I've got a new lease of life, you know. And I say that having coming through health challenges, and I feel that I need to be a bit more open, because I'm not great with like networking and those kind of events, being in a room with like lots of people. I really want to stop telling myself that this is who I am, and it's a rigid me. I want to be more like a tree, like, yeah, this tree is here, but it's got branches and it's got leaves, and you know, when the wind blows, it sways and it moves, and do you understand what I mean? I just want to be a bit more agile moving forward. With regards to work, I'm still in the learning phase, and I want to remain there as long as I can, just to keep learning and gaining more information and knowledge. What I would like to do is I would like to look into counselling course, because I feel like this is something that would benefit me both in the workplace and also as a minister as well. And just in life, just to be able to support people, because I'm finding that there's, you know, people's struggles or traumas or things that they've been through are becoming like a hindrance and stopping them from pushing forward, stopping them from progressing. And I feel that we've got lots of people that have got these wonderful business ideas or wonderful bits of like information that we don't know about, because it's been locked in a trauma box. And it would be great to be a person that helps them to unlock that box, so that they can pursue the things that they need to in their life.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so amazing. You know what I'm thinking about? As you said, you wanted to be more agile and more flexible. And going back to what you were saying, is that how before with your health issues, you were a gatekeeper, isn't it, of your time and of your energy?
Mm-hmm.
Now, through the role that you're doing, because it's going to require a lot of emotional resilience and intelligence, do you know what I mean, dealing with different types of personalities, it's now gently pushed you into thinking about counseling again, giving your time and your energy.
The same thing that I was gatekeeping those years ago. Yeah, it's now, here you go. Have me time. Have me time. Have me energy.
I'm telling you. But do you know what it is? It's the core of you, isn't it? We can't shake the core of us. And I think also through your, you know, your other vocation as an ordained minister, that core is going to overflow within the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And people say it. People do say it. I like fairness. I like justice. Don't like the bickering and the gossip and the, do you know, I'm not into all of that. I just want to come to work, do it well. I want my team to do well. I want my team to love and respect one another, and love and respect, you know, the wider business. Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot that I can give. But yeah, I just feel like I need to, just dig a little bit deeper. And I feel like I have got more to give.
An amazing person, Marsha Munodawafa.
Hey,
you like that one, innit? No, you truly are. And this has been such an enriching conversation. And there's several things that I never knew, and now I know. And I thought,
you know,
yeah, this is good.
I just say one last thing before we go. the last thing I just want to say is, as you pivot from one thing to the other, do not lose yourself. Do not lose who you are. You know, I am a business application manager for a media company, right, newspaper, and I love my fashion still. So I still dress the way that I would have dressed as if I was turning up for the fashion industry. Yeah. So don't lose yourself. Just enjoy yourself.